Hello guys, welcome to Onefootball Live. You're joining us for the Champions League round of 16 draw. I'm Ed McCambridge, and joining me on the couch we have Onefootball's very own Matt Fröhlich, Spurs fan, so he's going to be boring us with a lot of those, that sort of banter. And we've also got Editor-in-Chief and Football Encyclopedia, Manuel Veit, joining us, which is very nice. He's basically a real expert on all things Bundesliga and Ukrainian football and Eastern football, Russian football and things like that. So, as you know, the Champions League draw is basically underway at the moment in Switzerland. We're just waiting for them to actually start the draw, so we can have a little discussion first of all about what we think is going to happen. First up, a quick explanation of how the draw itself works. There's two pots. The teams that won their Champions League group are in one pot. The teams that came second are in the other pot. Now, teams can only be drawn against teams from nations that they aren't part of. So Chelsea can't get Man United, for example, and they also, a winner of a group can only play a runner-up of a group. So let's start, shall we, with Spurs. It's the right place to go.
Absolutely, yeah, let's do it.
We've got our expert on the couch. Let's see what he thinks of today's draw, best and worst case scenarios, etc.
Oh, the best and worst case is a difficult way of looking at it, because you want to test yourself against the best. And then if you draw one of the supposed weaker teams, you're going to look a bit foolish if you go out. I mean, someone like Basel would be, on paper, a better draw. However, it's still a tough game. You're still in the knockout rounds of the Champions League.
Exactly. Well, the real heavyweights that Tottenham can draw are, on paper at least, Bayern Munich, Juventus, and arguably Sevilla. Now, Sevilla are very good in European competition, which leaves Basel, Porto, and Shakhtar Donetsk.
So you could say they were the lesser draws, but I mean, if you're going away to Shakhtar, I mean, you'll be able to tell us more about that. I mean, it's all going to be a difficult game. I think I'd rather, from a fan perspective, go for the glamour tie. It would be cool to see Tottenham at Juventus or anything like that. Incredible, yeah.
And Basel at home are tough, very tough. I went to Basel to see the Manchester United game, and I think that was the third time they've beaten an English side in Basel.
Oh, wow.
And they've beaten Bayern Munich as well.
Well,
in Basel.
I remember them doing Chelsea a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So they're a tough opponent.
Back when Mo Salah was still there.
Yeah. So you can't just plan a route and say what's easy, what's not. It'll all be difficult, but it's exciting.
But you would hope for a Bayern Munich or a Juve, do you reckon, in this round? Just for a bit of fun.
You know, I think we'll save them to the later rounds. Despite all the well-informed bits we have here, I'd say Basel or Porto.
Well, I think it's a little bit like the England World Cup draw, and when we saw that happening, people were saying, you know, maybe for a team like Spurs, they might be better off being the underdog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Perhaps
that's true,
better,
I guess.
You know, so because Spurs, they got that real counter-attacking thing. So if a team like Bayern were to come onto them,
yeah,
maybe
I guess
that
they're
would work in
on the
their
counter-attack.
Maybe would that work in their favour?
We'll save that for the final.
And just an overall question: could Spurs win the Champions League? What do we think? What needs to go right for them to win the Champions League?
Well, I mean, I think you've got to say yes. After coming out of a group with Dortmund and Real Madrid with 16 points, so most ever by an English side, I think, or joint most by an English side, to come out with an aggregate win of 4-2 over Madrid.
And how did that feel?
It felt amazing, and it kind of, I feel like even more so for the Spurs players, it put the question of why not in their head.
Yeah.
Of why, who's stopping them? Who's going to say, oh, you know, it's Real Madrid or Barca, you're definitely going to get done. I mean, to go and beat the champions of the last four seasons.
Nobody
like
saw that coming. Nobody saw that.
Why
that was
not?
Absolutely
Why not?
Astounding pair of results for Tottenham Hotspur. Draw at the Bernabeu, win at home. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other English clubs that are in there. So, Manchester United, as we just spoke about, Manuel, lost against Basel. They could potentially get a very tough draw. They can also get Bayern Munich, but they can also get Real Madrid, which Spurs can't, because, as we discussed, they had them in the groups. So, what do you think? What do you think about those potential ties? That would be an absolute heavyweight clash, wouldn't it? Man United, Real Madrid.
Yeah, well, you have to remember too that no one really wants Manchester United either, right? I mean, Jose Mourinho is the kind of coach that knows how to play. In those kind of draws, and I mean the bus mentality works really well in home and away, because you can get the result at home, and they have the second leg at home, right? So they just need to get the result on the road and then basically tie it up. So no one really wants to play against them. Now at the same time, I think that United are not strong enough for the likes of Bayern, Juventus, and Real Madrid. It's just the reason I say that is because I saw them against Basel, and although they were so dominant, they're not ruthless enough. So I think
would you say maybe one of Man United's problems is a lack of world-class players? They've got David De Gea. You could probably argue Paul Pogba is a world-class player, but
he's a world-class prize.
Yeah, a world-class. Yeah, they've got the money to throw around.
A world-class player also needs to win titles, and I mean, you look at, for example, what he'd done with France. He did not carry that team to the European Championships on home soil. World-class player does that. So I'm still out on the fence saying Pogba is a real world-class player. He has the price tag, but he doesn't have the titles yet to actually say, here, look, I'm world-class.
Okay, no, I think that's fair enough. Chelsea, this is one worth discussing because as we saw at the weekend, bit of a banana skin there at West Ham. No one saw that one coming. Absolutely hilarious. I'd like to throw that out there. I'm a Fulham fan, by the way, guys, so that sort of thing.
I also enjoyed it thoroughly, believe me.
That really makes my weekend. With Antonio Conte there, you know, these are things. This is a team that were absolutely running away with the league last year. Absolutely fantastic performance. It's going a bit wrong now. What's going on, Matt?
I mean, I think partly you've got to say it's about the Premier League. Everyone's being made to look bad because of City. If you took away City and you look how close everyone is together, it looks like a more, I wouldn't say normal, but a more realistic title race. But I think it's the fact that City are putting everyone in their shadow. But with Chelsea, I think Conte, much like Mourinho, is a cup manager. They are, in one-off games or two-leg games, fantastic. You know, especially Mourinho. He goes into finals and he's just not going to lose. You just look at him on the sideline and you just think he is not going to lose this final. Over a stretch of a season, maybe it's a bit different, as you can see with the weekend's action. Chelsea, I mean, the draw looks tough for them. The draw looks tough.
They have one potential draw. They can get Besiktas.
Right.
But I think Besiktas is probably easier said than done. The other two clubs they can get, Barcelona and PSG.
Wow.
Now, if they get the favourable draw, Besiktas, they're going to be going to Turkey in what's going to be a bit of a cauldron. I don't think it's going to be a very nice place
absolutely.
to go.
No.
We saw RB Leipzig, obviously have done very well in the Bundesliga over recent years. They went there and they were just blown away by the atmosphere, I think. They really couldn't hack it. So I don't think that's an easy draw.
And I actually saw their final group stage. I was in Leipzig on Wednesday to see that match from the press box, and Besiktas are an uncomfortable team to play. And Leipzig, when I mean the goodness in the press conference afterwards, said Leipzig was the best team on paper in this group. And the way they played, they were also the best team. But Besiktas, they walked this group, they won it. And what I thought was really telling is that they get their results. They were down. You know, Leipzig got a late equalizer, and you thought, okay, well, Leipzig is going to get a point here, and then they just went up a gear, and Besiktas won the match in Leipzig, which is difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Absolutely.
So they're not an easy team to play against either.
Well, we've got a few comments from you guys, so thank you for sending those in. We've got someone asking what are Arsenal fans doing on the chat. I mean, you're still welcome to join in, guys. I'm a Fulham fan. They let me come on the couch for the Champions League draw. You know, you don't have to be a Champions League fan to come.
In all seriousness, when is the Euro draw? Is it not?
It's right after.
Straight afterwards. So stick around. Stick around on the UEFA page, and we're going to get both guys. But someone Nishad here, Nishay Desai, is saying that Spurs don't have a heavy enough squad. They don't have the depth.
Yeah, no, I think that is partly true, and you can see Pochettino came out the other day and said, "Oh, we got the draw."
Here we go.
We've just had the first team out of the pot whilst we've been waffling about all things football. Juventus have come out of the pot. So we're about to find out the next one. But Juve, first one's out.
Wow.
Very defensive-minded team. They've kept a lot of clean sheets in the group stages. They had a very tough team in their group, Barcelona. What do we think about them?
I think they dominate their league so much they can focus on the Champions League. This is that's the thing, as I say, with Spurs.
Yeah,
they focused on Premier League last year and failed in Champions League, and now it's vice versa this year. Let's see. Oh, is that Spurs?
Oh, there you go. That's a tough
Spurs have just come out of the pot, nice and early. Look at that.
Wow.
So, match number one, guys, confirmed. Juventus, Tottenham Hotspur. Let's hear what you got to say.
That's exciting. I mean,
you said earlier you wanted a big draw.
From a fan's perspective, that is You know what? I didn't even realise Juve had finished second.
Yeah, well, they have Barcelona in their group.
Oh,
so,
of course, yeah.
they actually got a good result against Barcelona.
But that is a mammoth draw.
Yeah, well,
I'm very excited for that.
Got Basel.
We've now got Basel out, so we'll get back to the Juve Spurs draw in a bit. I'm really looking forward to talking about that. But let's see who Basel are going to be playing. The mighty Basel, conquerors of Manchester United.
Wow.
Could they be dark horses? This will depend very much on the team we're about to draw out now. Obviously, this is where Mo Salah sort of made his name on the European stage at Basel. Yeah. So, you know, there's potential to really get your name out there for some of these players. They might have a point to prove ahead of a busy summer spending window. And they have drawn... Manchester City. So,
another Manchester team.
What do we think? Favourable draw for Manchester City there?
Especially away from home.
The last team that needed a favourable draw there. They could have played anyone and had a bit of swagger going into that game.
Wow.
That's an interesting one because, of course, Basel managed to beat Bayern in the round of 16 a few years ago, 1-0 in Basel, and then lost 7-0 in Munich, right? So
guys, we are absolutely rolling here. We've just had Porto come out of the pot. The mighty Porto. If a big English club gets them, I'd probably say that wouldn't be too disheartening. Porto aren't the club they were.
Liverpool or United could get them, yeah.
Let's find out who Porto are going to be playing. Obviously won the Champions League in 2004 under Jose Mourinho.
This could be the reunion of all
Xabi Alonso looking very suave, has just drawn out Liverpool.
So that's no surprise, isn't it? That's his former club. Of course, he's going to give him a.
Oh, Xabi, come on.
So there's some suspicion from Manuel here that there's something shifty's going on in Xabi Alonso. He's got a couple of extra balls in his pockets or something. I don't know. But that is favourable to Liverpool. So it's been nice on the English club so far, except, Matt, for Spurs.
Yeah, but it's a big game. It's exciting.
And Sevilla have just come out. Now, Sevilla played against Liverpool in the Europa League final a couple of seasons ago. And though Liverpool went 1-up, Sevilla came back and did it. So they're really good in the cup competition.
On the weekend, they did lose 5-0 to Madrid. So I think they're taking a bit of a hit.
Okay, so as you guys can see on the screen now, the Champions League draw is coming up for you there. So you can Juventus, Tottenham, Basel City, Porto, Liverpool, and Sevilla is about to have their opponents drawn. Let's find out who they've got. Manchester United against Sevilla.
I say for the English teams, this has been favourable.
Except for one team.
Except for Spurs. We're
going to get around to Spurs' mighty clash with Juventus at some point very soon. But guys, send in what you're thinking. Someone's saying Juve have got a very strong defence. Could be a stumbling block for Spurs. Who will United play from Wesley? Wesley have just been drawn with Sevilla.
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid are out now. The big dogs unleashed on the competition. Let's find out who they're going to be facing. They don't need an easy draw, do they? They're fourth in La Liga at the moment. They could do with
Roma, Besiktas or PSG.
Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't really been doing the business in Europe.
PSG would be, of course, maybe.
Let's find out. This could be big.
That
this
would be
could
the
be
mouth-watering game against PSG.
Absolutely.
It is.
It's Paris Saint-Germain against
the draw right there.
Yeah.
That's tasty, guys, isn't it?
That is
amazing.
Neymar returning to Spain to
Neymar back at his future club, perhaps. There's been a few rumours flying around there. This could be his chance to sell his qualities to the Real Madrid.
Wow,
that's an incredible draw.
What a belter that was, guys. Let us know what you think about that draw. That is one of the ties of the round, most certainly. Shakhtar Donetsk have come out. What do we reckon?
Well, I know Sergei Palkin, of course, he doesn't want to get Barcelona or Roma. I think that they're an uncomfortable team to play, but the Ukrainian sides have the big downside that they have that 3-month-long winter break, right? This is almost the first game that they have to play after the winter break, and
so
that's always a little tough. Well, they're well rested, but also not in game action, right?
Yeah, out of match fitness.
And Roma. So we can see the Shakhtar boss there. He obviously came out in a Zorro mask after they beat Man City. He said he would. He said he'd dress up as Zorro if they basically beat Manchester City.
He's a very good coach. He's linked with Bayern at the moment as a potential replacement for Heinkes.
Would you like to see that on the touchline in Munich more often? That Zorro hat and mask. I would be a fan. I don't think enough managers wear fancy dress. Chelsea have just been pulled out, so let's find out who Chelsea can be playing. They can either get Besiktas or Barcelona.
I'm hoping it's Barcelona.
Because PSG are already against Madrid. I would love Chelsea-Barcelona. They've had some absolutely cracking meet-ups in the past. Guys, you can see the Champions League draw there, so we're waiting for Chelsea to be pulled out. Shakhtar against Roma, as we can see above. And Chelsea
Barcelona.
Barcelona!
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
Chelsea fans, let us know what you
game.
think about that draw. That's amazing.
That means Bayern have Besiktas, right?
Luke Carroll says he supports PSG, but they're screwed.
I wouldn't go that far.
From a PSG fan,
Yeah.
doesn't think they can take Real Madrid. Look at that strike
They're away
force.
first as well.
Barcelona, we're seeing up on the screen now at the moment. They're going to be absolutely gunning for that game against Chelsea. Bayern Munich have just been drawn
Lucky
out.
Bayern.
So Bayern
Against Besiktas.
Yeah.
against Besiktas. It's a foregone
Unless
conclusion.
the wrong name comes out of the hat.
Xabi
and then we have
Alonso
to do it
could
all
pull
again.
Pick Liverpool. He's picked Liverpool again.
Bayern v Besiktas. Xabi Alonso didn't do Real Madrid a favour, but his other two clubs, he did. Liverpool have
Yeah.
got an okay one.
You can tell which clubs Alonso really supports. You know?
Yeah, well, he's given us an absolute heavyweight showdown with Real Madrid against PSG.
That's a big game.
But the others, you know, they're not so much. Love Chelsea Barca from Andrew. Thank you for sending that in. That is a belter of a game. There's a few huge matchups. You can see on the screen now. Which one of those games, Matt, do you think are the real showstoppers? Which ones are you looking
it's
forward to?
Madrid, Paris, and Chelsea, Barca. Absolutely, those are two heavyweight. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Spurs game most, obviously, but no, in terms of the heaviest games, yeah, Real Madrid, PSG, and
But
Chelsea, Barca.
that is a great draw. I've got to say, I was really hoping the big teams didn't completely avoid each other, and we've not been let down because there's some nice ones. Real Madrid, PSG. What do we think of that, guys?
That was big.
Off the top of your head, Manuel, right now, I want an answer. Who's going to go through in that game?
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think that PSG just don't. I mean, we've seen that in the Bayern game. We've seen it last season with Barcelona. They're very strong up front, but they don't have the defensive stability to win the Champions League. And I watched the Bayern game in Munich and against PSG, and I actually thought Bayern could have turned that result around. If they had really taken the second half a little bit more serious, they could have turned around the result and finished in their group first. And this is the second time within 6 months that PSG gave away a big lead, right, in a head-to-head. They did it, of course, against Barcelona, and I just don't see that side a title contender. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people say they are, but I just don't see it.
Well, guys, if you agree with Manuel, let us know. Do you think that PSG have basically blown their load on the most incredible strike force going? And I said that a little bit too aggressively, actually. I'm sorry about that. Have they got far too good attack compared to defence? Can you win a Champions League with a defence that's not bad, but they're so top-heavy, PSG, aren't they?
Yeah, they are extremely top-heavy. I think they've almost got the kind of mentality where they siege the league, and they just think everything's so fine because it goes so swimmingly on a Saturday afternoon. But when they come up against a big opposition, I mean, I'm glad that a draw such as, I don't know, Juve PSG might have seen a complete cancellation of a good defence against a good attack. But the fact that Real Madrid, especially being home first, Real Madrid are attacking.
Of course,
Real Madrid are at home first and have to go for it because they know to leave it kind of even and try to go to PSG and attack and win outright is going to be a lot more difficult.
I think that's a good point. Yeah,
Same with Chelsea. Same with Chelsea being at home. They need to beat Barcelona at Stamford Bridge in that first leg. It needs to happen because, again, going to the new camp and winning outright, very, very difficult.
Well, that boy there, Neymar, as we were just saying, we were speaking about, this is probably a similar problem that Bayern have had in recent seasons. The best years Bayern have had in the Champions League are when they've had strong competition at home. Now, PSG don't really have the competition in the league, do they? To keep them focused, to keep the intensity going for these players. They're walking through every weekend. And Bayern will possibly have a similar problem. It's a little too easy for them in the league.
Not right now. I think right now the Bundesliga is, I mean, you look at the gap between Bayern and the teams following them is closer than what it is in the Premier League. And I think that Bayern have to work a lot harder at the moment, also because of the coaching change and all that, than they had in recent years. Bayern's fortune right now is that the Bundesliga is almost too competitive right now, that the teams behind them, they're stealing points from each other too. I think Bayern at this point, they have already dropped 4 games in this season, which is a lot considering we're only 15 games in, right? That's unheard of when you look at the last 3 or 4 years. And that's actually, I think, something that will favor Bayern down the stretch, that they actually is competition in the league, that they actually have to work hard. We've seen this week against Frankfurt, a game that they could have easily dropped points. Frankfurt took them all the way, and Frankfurt was maybe a little unlucky to not get a point or maybe even 3 points there. So I think that's something that favors Bayern. But to get back to your PSG point, they lost against Strasbourg, the game I had of the Bayern game. So there is a bit of competition there, but you're absolutely right. When you go beyond Olympique Lyon, AS Monaco, Olympique Marseille, maybe, but Marseille is such a troubled club at the moment that it's not there either. So they really only have 2 teams that could challenge them on a day. Whereas in Germany, that list has grown to, Leipzig, Schalke, Bayern Leverkusen, Dortmund not right now, of course, but probably with the coaching change they will. So they have, although Bayern will likely win the league, they will have to work for it, which is a good thing for them.
Yeah, okay. I see, yeah.
Andrew says Andrew and Nikkei, City have the softest opponents of all. What do we think about City's draw? Is are they gonna get a
I think it's all relevant. I think when you get to this stage of the Champions League, teams are good. They've got to this point in the first place, and it's cup football. This is the thing about it. In a group stage, you can have a poor game, as many of the top teams did. Look, I mean, if you're looking at the last Champions League game and say, "Oh, Man City lost to Shakhtar," then you're thinking, "Oh, trouble signs." But then again, it's in a league format. You can have the off game. I think in cup football was completely different.
Yeah.
But obviously, you have one good game.
Well, we saw a big result from Manchester City at the weekend, obviously. Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit, because they've been handed a slightly easier draw. They were obviously playing Basel away in their first one, but they played a massive game at the weekend.
Yeah.
Away at Old Trafford, we saw 2 very differing styles of football, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what did you make of that result? Was it a win for good against evil?
Yes.
I feel like it was.
That is the perfect way to describe it. Yes. Just the football good has defeated football evil.
It was the Millennium Falcon against the Death Star, there, wasn't it? No one, based on the way, I mean, Manchester United have very good players, loads of fans, but that was no way to set up in a derby.
No, and I think it typifies Mourinho getting annoyed afterwards, and this tunnel scuffle that happened afterwards with milk and water being thrown.
Well, I mean, if you guys weren't aware of this, straight after that Manchester derby, there was a scuffle. Jose Mourinho there was involved in a bit of a fracas with the Manchester City goalkeeper, Edison, apparently. Why he's starting arguments with the guy with the big neck tattoo, I'll never know. But he fancied it.
It's number 1 rules of starting arguments.
And there was blood left on Mikel Arteta's face, the assistant coach of Manchester City, after Lukaku got involved. Apparently milk was thrown around.
See, that's the most random one for me.
Yeah.
Why milk?
Why do you have in the dressing room?
Do you have milk standing around in the dressing room? Why would you?
Yeah,
I get Gatorade and protein shakes with milk.
Well, Manchester United, it was their home games. So they provided the milk. So they were sort of asking for trouble, I think. I mean, if you're going to put milk in
a notorious weapon for post-tunnel scuffles.
You've got to expect it. There was obviously Pizzagate a few years ago. Fergie got a slice of pepperoni lobbed at him, and now there's milk. What is it with Old Trafford and food fights?
I think they need to talk about diet plans. I see milk on the diet plan. I see pizza on the diet plan. Maybe that's the reason they're not winning anything.
I just think that Mourinho, whatever he said, he's just bitter. He knows that he did not deserve anything, and I saw him sort of calming the crowd down when Rashford scored.
Yeah.
Like it's all under control.
We've got
nothing
this, guys.
is under control.
I mean,
he had nothing.
They were in big trouble, weren't they? Right from the start of that game.
They really were.
And just lumping it up to Lukaku is a strange way of playing. He's not. Lukaku's not that sort of. I know he's a target man, but he's not really got the touch to bring the other players in. And from the very start, I think Manchester United were never going to win that game. It's clear they were playing for a draw, and
I'm not a big Man City fan, but I'm a football fan. And to see City win that was excellent. Was really, really good.
I think what we have to ask though is that it's 11 points now. The interesting question is, we're now getting into the Christmas time in the English Premier League, which is very busy. By the end of the Christmas time, that gap could be, 15, 18 points. Do Manchester City then have the same problem than Pep Guardiola had with Bayern, that the league is more or less won?
Well,
and then
maybe they can concentrate on the Champions League. By the time February comes around, they could be out of sight.
True. That's also. It can go either way, right? It can benefit you, but it can also hurt you. So it would be an interesting one to watch City, especially over that Christmas time that is so busy in English football. It will be very fascinating to watch that.
Well, let's move on to a team we haven't discussed very much. Guys, I want to hear your thoughts about Liverpool now. We saw they were given a slightly favourable draw by former midfield general Xabi Alonso. Let's talk about them very briefly at the weekend. Another good versus evil, it felt like. Big Sam did, Big Sam them, didn't he? There is a verb to Big Sam.
Yeah.
Mourinho tried it, he didn't do it as well. Big Sam did the real business. 1-1 in that game.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney, the scourge of Liverpool, top man. Let's talk about that game. What do we think happened there?
Oh, did you guys see the post-match interview of Jurgen Klopp?
Was he fuming?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
fuming is not even the right word. He has.
There's a bit of history between him and Big Sam, isn't there? They've not got on very well in the past.
They're kind of the anti of each other, I guess. I think Big Sam's one of these guys where you appreciate his work from afar, and you can say, God, he does really well, get them organised out of relegation. When it's up close and he costs your team and he steals a point away from you, you'd be so annoyed with him.
We all love Big Sam doing that to the teams we hate, don't we? Like you just said, but when it happens to your team, your head explodes in rage.
Oh, God.
Why can't he just do it to Chelsea every week? It's a question I'd like to ask, but they don't get to play.
I also think that.
So, Luke Carroll, thank you for your comment. You've just said, I think Liverpool has a great attack, but the defence is a mess.
Bang on.
Let's have a talk about those guys. Yeah. So, Mignolet in goal, Karius didn't really work out. They've gone back to Mignolet, and the defence isn't really up to scratch, is it?
That'll be found out, I think. In Champions League level football, some weeks in the Premier League, they play some teams where, I'm not saying then they're kind of letting them off, but one or two chances might go missing. For the opposition team, and Liverpool will get away with it, in effect. Yeah. I think when they come up against stronger teams in the Champions League who will put away these chances, they're going to be really, really suspect and really found out. As good as their attack may be.
It would have been quite fun, wouldn't it? PSG Liverpool. Because they would have been really going for it.
Yeah, both of them.
It could have been 5-5 or something that game. Maybe we can see that in a future round. But first, Liverpool have to navigate an away game against Porto. We're seeing their draw once again up on the screen here, guys. That's probably favourable for Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, I think being away first, especially, would really kind of help them. They know that they can. I think for one game, Klopp might say, you know what, let's just not lose. Away at Porto, we can do all our attacking business at home at Anfield.
With the lights on, with the crowd behind them. At Anfield, that's what those nights are all about.
Yeah, exactly. That looks more favourable for them, certainly. I think them winning and going in, having to focus on their defence on the away game would be slightly difficult the other way around.
And Porto are a poor travelling side.
Yeah.
I mean, it was against Bayern, I think, where they won the home leg, even last year, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 years ago, and then they were absolutely destroyed. At home, and I think the same happened to them against Dortmund. So they are very good at home, but once they're on the road, they are very beatable.
Well, if the football expert is Manuel is saying that, then it's true. So Porto are not going to do well at Anfield. So for them to go through, they need a big result at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need a big result at home. Let's have a talk about some of the other matchups we've got here. So Shakhtar Donetsk, a team you can possibly shed a little light. They've got Roma now. Let's talk about that one briefly, because Roma did very well against Chelsea in the group stages. 3-3 draw at Stamford Bridge. They won the return leg in Rome. Can they navigate their way past Shakhtar? What lies in wait for them there?
Well, the tricky one, of course, is for the Ukrainian side. They start long winter break. The 3-month-long winter break. They're not going to play any football till February. I think the first game might actually be that home leg against Roma. That's very, very tricky coming out of a long winter break and then playing your first competitive match against one of the best teams in Europe right now. And Roma is one of those teams. They were very good in a very strong group. Remember, Atletico Madrid was in this group as well, and they got through. So I think it's a very tough draw for Shakhtar Donetsk. On the other hand, they did really well against Napoli at home. Beat Napoli at home, and that's really ultimately what got them through.
So they could be a dark horse in that one.
They could be a dark horse, yes. And Shakhtar Donetsk, because of the conflict in the Donbass, they have to play in Kharkiv, right? For a long time, they didn't make any investments into the squad, but it looks like that's over. They just signed a new Brazilian right back. His name is Dodo from Coritiba. And he looks very promising, and it looks like that Rinat Akhmetov, he's one of the richest mans in the post-Soviet space, is going to invest. So I could see them say, okay, well look, we got through the group, let's put some money into the side, because it's not that this team represents more than just the city, it also represents this entire country, right?
You've heard it here first. Shakhtar could be ones to watch in the next round.
Yeah.
But for now, I want to focus, give it its due. Let's talk about it, guys. We've got there now. Juventus against Spurs.
Wow.
Let's talk about it. At first glance, what do you think about Spurs' chances of going through? Juventus, very good side.
I'd put us as underdogs. Us being Tottenham. I'm part of this too.
Not us.
Yeah, not us.
We
not
wouldn't
us.
win against Juventus, it doesn't matter.
We'd give them a fair go.
Yeah.
I think, yes, naturally being underdogs, especially kind of being newbies in European competition, especially the top table, you know, with only our third season in it.
You're up against this chap as well, Gonzalo
Higuain. But I would, you know, Spurs defence, Toby Alderweireld should hopefully be back by then. Spurs defence is definitely solid, as you're with the best, I think the best or second best in the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. But I think our main problem this year has been breaking down stubborn defences, and that is exactly what you'll find.
And they
with
don't
Juventus.
come a lot more stubborn than Juve. They obviously lost Bonucci, he moved to AC Milan in the summer. And people, you know, eyebrows are raised. Why would they sell to a rival? It's not really worked out. They're still keeping clean sheets.
Yeah. And they've got to the final, is it 2 of the last 3 years as well, losing to Barcelona, Madrid.
They are rugged. They can do it dirty, and Spurs are they're gonna be up against it. Chief lockpicker Christian Eriksen.
I mean, I hope it's one of the games where he turns up, because, you know, when he does, he's fantastic.
Brilliant against Real Madrid, we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few times when things get a little bit dirty and aggressive, he can't quite match them physically. In a footballing game, such as the likes against Real Madrid, but, you know, in a difficult atmosphere, in a dirty kind of game against Juventus, you know, very physically
as we're seeing
tough.
There, when a game gets dirty, Dele Alli, there's a potential red card there. The man likes to scrap.
The line for petulance is very, very thin with Ali. He's either on the good side of it, where his aggression and his will to kind of beat the opposition is great, and then he takes it a step too far and can completely lose his head. But no, I think it's an exciting tie. You know, that's what the Champions League is all about. These kind of games.
Luke Carroll says Kane, Ali, Eriksen. That's it. Bring in defence. Most Premier League teams don't have enough defence, so he doesn't think they're good enough at the back. They're great going forward. They can possibly get past Juventus, but they're going to need Kane really firing up. An injury to Kane, probably game over for Spurs.
That's the issue, But I mean, that's the same with everybody.
Yeah.
Because injury to Messi or an injury to Ronaldo, it's the same. It's the same kind of thing. I don't think it's. I wouldn't go as far as saying we're a one-man team like Pep Guardiola said about a month ago.
Oh, that's definitely unfair.
But I think Fernando Llorente against his old club. Let's just say in a hypothetical world Kane could play. Could Llorente turn it on, or do you think that Spurs need to invest in someone in January? Yeah,
I mean, I was at the Bernabeu. The 1-1 draw was a fantastic game. Llorente played fantastically in a 2-man attack with him and Kane. He held the ball up well, but in terms of a replacement for Kane, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's that fantastic. I tell you, the guy who I think I would love to see at Spurs, but he's in the form of his life at Roma, is Edin Dzeko.
Well, was it 31 goals in Serie A
last season, and he's fired them to the last 16 in this year's Champions League. He's the perfect kind of. He's got the levels of experience and the goal scoring know-how, and he's obviously great in the Premier League. But he's not too old yet. I think isn't he 32?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Would he be willing?
He wouldn't come to Spurs. He wouldn't serve as an understudy. Of course he wouldn't. But someone like that, in between him and Llorente's level, because I think
I really like Edin Dzeko at Manchester City. He
absolutely.
Never seemed to complain. He rolled his sleeves up and did his job whenever he could. Whenever he got a chance, absolutely fantastic. It'd be lovely to see him back in the Premier League. Good luck to Spurs if that is what they're thinking about doing.
I think Bayern wants him as a backup for Lewandowski.
Everyone wants him as a backup. Poor old Edin Dzeko. Can you imagine being that? Everyone wants him as a backup.
But this is the thing. So why would he leave Roma?
Yeah, that's the thing,
He's just going to be a backup.
He's finally got a chance.
Life in Italy is really nice too. Let's be honest.
Why would you leave and go to North London? There's a question, isn't it?
That's if you live in Rome.
Aaron Marquez, I hate Spurs. He's to the point. I like his style. Madrid, they think a bit of love for Madrid going on here. They all think Real Madrid are going to win that game against Paris Saint-Germain, which is the standout tie of the round. Everyone's excited for that one. We haven't really discussed Manchester United enough. What do we think? Sevilla, can they do it?
It's favourable. I'll put it that way.
Is it though? I mean, Sevilla is such a solid European side, and
I think they won something like 3. Didn't they win 3 UEFA Cups in a
row?
Just a couple of seasons ago. They really are hardened in these European games. They know what they're doing. They're having a fantastic season in La Liga as well.
But the thing is, every time they win the Europa League, they end up back in it next season. So obviously the Champions League isn't doing it very well.
I don't think they like the Champions League as much as they're trying to make out. They like that UEFA.
Although that said, you know, they won the Europa League 3 years in a row, and then last season they got through to the round of 16 of the Champions League. So that's, you grow as a side, right? You're gaining that experience. It's very difficult to navigate the Champions League and get that experience, and I think now they have it. So I think it will be a bit easier for them this time around, which makes it, of course, a harder opposition for Manchester United.
Now, I would like to very briefly touch on a team which are one of my very favourites in the Champions League, because they are loaded with really quite hilariously like pantomime villain characters, Besiktas. So we've got Pepe, who is lord of all panto villains.
Lord of the panto.
He will kick and punch and lie and do whatever he needs to do. I like it when he grows his hair into that weird perm. I hope we see that again in the next round. The lesser seen perm. But they've got some old. It's an old sort of graveyard, isn't it, for European football? You've got Ryan Babel there, Gary Medel, Alvaro Negredo. So there's some. It's a bit of a strange one, but they've got some good players.
Atiba Hutchinson as well, the Canadian midfielder, was been very good for them, key player. But then they got Talisca, you know, one of the hottest, one of the biggest prospects. You know, RB Leipzig are really trying hard to get him, to sign him from Porto, because Porto still own him, right? He's only on loan at Besiktas.
Oh, really?
And he's a really good player. I had the pleasure to see him on Wednesday, and I think he's one of those really exciting players. So they got him.
Now Besiktas have got Bayern though, obviously.
Yeah, that's probably the end of the road for them. I think that you don't need to be, you know, guessing too much on that one. I think that Bayern, especially in the form that they're on right now.
Well, they started the season so poorly, Bayern Munich. Obviously, back when they had Carlo Ancelotti in charge, very successful manager in the past, but it didn't really ever get going. I mean, he won the league with Bayern Munich, but it was never like a brilliant match, was it?
No.
And now Jupp Heynckes has come back in. Obviously won the treble with Bayern Munich back in 2013. Yeah. Can Bayern do a treble again? Can we see a Champions League?
I think the Champions League is becoming so critical for Bayern because of the fact that they're dominating it's the same with Juventus. They're dominating the league so much
that it's a given.
Yeah, that eventually they say, we need to win the Champions League because it's just happening every season. The league is becoming so...
The window for Bayern winning the Champions League is closing too. Because the Ribéry, Robben, that duo was, you know, Ribéry was fantastic against PSG. Yeah. So he still has those moments where he's the best, one of the best players in the world, but these moments are becoming less and less. So I think that the window is closing on them so rapidly. And yes, they have the money, and someone like Koeman will come in and replace them, and Serge Gnabry who can come and replace them. But these players will take 2 or 3 years to get to that Ribéry Robben level, right? Yeah. So I actually think this is the last chance.
It could be now
absolutely.
Or never.
I think so.
They've been great to watch. Because I think the combo is so kind of...
The end is maybe 34 and 5. That is always losing. Difficult player, even though Koeman is at 10.
He's very good.
I think.
It's about set off into the sunset together. So it's going to be sad to see Ribéry go, but Bayern fans out there, Bayern and City will make the final. Luke Carroll believes.
That's a good bet.
Could happen. Bayern and City would be a lot of fun. Besiktas aren't strong enough, says S. Barkey. Pepe is okay, says Aaron. We've been a bit harsh on Pepe, according to him. Let's overlook all of those things he ever did, and let's agree.
Not saying he's a bad player. He's just a bit of a nutter.
Or a bad person. He just has moments where he turns into an absolute psychopath.
Bad person. But,
well, a few people are saying they think the final will be City and Bayern. Juve are good. They've got Paulo Dybala. Obviously, what a player Paulo Dybala is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't think we should overlook the fact that this is indeed a World Cup year.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of these players really trying to hit that World Cup in form, and it just so happens to coincide with the Champions League final. That's the sort of time you really need to be hitting peak form. So, do you think someone like Lionel Messi, who hasn't won the Ballon d'Or or the FIFA's Best Award for a couple of seasons now, do you reckon that if he can win a Champions League and go into a World Cup on the form of his life, could Barcelona win
I think they should
Could he carry
leave the Ronaldo and Messi thing in the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Leave it at 5-5, just so the debate can rage on forever. And there's no definite
give it to someone
answer.
else this season.
Yeah.
Let's give it to Son Heung-min. He deserves it. He's been
brilliant.
Great for
Asian Player of the Year and the highest Asian Premier League scorer ever.
Couple of facts you only get from having a Spurs fan on the couch there. We'd never have known that.
Exactly. Juventus, watch out for him.
Maybe to get back to Messi real quick, I think this is maybe this is the year where he can win the World Cup for the last time.
Yeah.
Right? Because next time
around
he's 31 this year, he will be 35 at the next World Cup. I can't see him carry a team then. So this is the last year for him to finally step out of the shadow of Diego Maradona.
I think with Messi, with Ronaldo having a bit of a poor season, especially, it's Messi's chance. He can step out and finally say, I'm the best, with the Champions League and a World Cup double next summer.
Who agrees? Who agrees with Matt there? Who thinks this is Messi's year to shine? Can Barcelona win another one? They haven't looked like winning the Champions League really since Neymar left them. It's never really looked like they're gonna do it. They've lacked that little bit of bite that Neymar brought last season and the year before. But they have replaced him with Dembele. Now he's out at the moment. Usman
Yet
Dembele.
to be seen. Yeah.
It was. Let's just say it wasn't the cheapest transfer in history. It was 148 million euros.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of money and a lot of pressure on a young man's shoulders. But he was brilliant at Borussia Dortmund. Will his return? Could it mean that Barcelona have a better chance of winning that Champions League?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be too difficult for him to get that playing time and
Big
get
pressure on him.
I think that
pressure.
Dortmund are not too unhappy to receive that amount of money for him. I think he is a fantastic player. He has that star potential. He's 20 now, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money for a kid where you don't know how far he's going to go. And then, of course, tearing that muscle in his thigh, that's an injury that takes a long time. Even when you declared match fit, it takes a long time to actually get back to playing on that high level. So I think let's wait. Let's give him a few months and see how it goes.
For 150 million euros, he has to be the next Messi.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Anything less is completely unacceptable
Absolutely.
for that kind of money. You know, you're looking at, I don't know, the next 10 years at Barcelona with at least 10 trophies. Because anything less is just for that kind of money.
Although the price was, of course, inflated because everyone knew what Barcelona were getting for Neymar, right? So Dortmund, of course, said, well, if you want that guy, we know that you have 222 million euros lying around in your bank account, and you need to spend them. So we want almost all of it.
I think it's ludicrous for Dembele.
Well, we've got Daggy Fresh here saying that he's loving the show. He's watching in Nairobi, Kenya, so that's pretty cool. Hello to you guys in Kenya. That's absolutely awesome. We're looking at the Champions League draw on the screen there. Daggy says that Barcelona need to win so that Messi can get his 6th Ballon d'Or. Luke Carroll says he thinks France will win the World Cup, but we are talking about the Champions League here, Luke, so let's try and keep it on there, mate. This is Neymar's year to shine, says Nishad. Barca will be defeated by Antonio. There's a lot of great opinions going on out there. Is this Neymar's year to shine? What do we think?
Well, I mean, he stepped out. He left Barcelona to step out of Messi's shadow for a reason.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do it.
And
go ahead and take your chance. Take the Champions League. You don't need to worry about the league with PSG. Right, that will sort itself out. You don't even need to play Neymar. Save yourself for the Champions League. This needs to be his year. Maybe he can collect his first Ballon d'Or and break the cycle.
We just discussed the price tag, Dembele being a potential stumbling block. We don't know yet because he got injured a little bit soon, but Neymar is playing like a man who was bought for a packet of crisps. He doesn't seem to give a damn about that price tag. He has so much confidence, so much swagger, and he's been lighting up that French league.
Well, I guess it's not his problem to worry about.
It's not his problem.
The price tag, I mean, he's bought for what he's bought. It's kind of over his head, but I think, yes, he's been playing well, but there's a certain level expected. This is to be expected from a big guy, you know, from a lot of money going into the French league. You'd be more shocked if he wasn't really doing the business.
It would have been quite funny, wouldn't it? It would have been quite funny.
Although you have that feeling, I spoke to Simon Cooper about this, who of course lives in Paris and is a big name in terms of journalism, and he said, well, there is a sense that he's almost the French feel that Neymar is maybe a bit unhappy playing in Ligue 1. And I almost wonder if he's just did that move to PSG to eventually get to someone like Real Madrid. And there is that sense that, you know, PSG fans, they almost want Neymar to love them, but it's not reciprocated right now. And I think if PSG don't win the Champions League this year, which is of course the #1 goal, there could be real trouble brewing in Paris. And I mean like beyond like existential trouble, because the Qataris spent a lot of money on this project.
Well, there has already been a little bit of trouble. Everyone saw the absolute, well, it was hilarious, the whole penalty debacle between. So it's not been the smoothest ride. It's not like they just threw the money down and Neymar breezed in and it was good times going, was it? Because it's been a bit odd, hasn't it? He's ruffling a few feathers, as good as he's been. Cavani doesn't seem very happy. What do you think? Could that rumble on, or do you think they've sorted their differences out?
I mean, I think it could rumble on and further, as you say, further put kind of damage to the whole project of the Qataris. Because if they're seeing, as I say, much the same with Bayern Munich, much the same with Juventus, that if they're winning it so regularly, and much like the fans like, you know what, we need the Champions League now, the league's getting a bit boring, the same thing can happen. Cavani can move to Real Madrid, you know, and Di Maria could leave, all these players, Drax has been talked about a transfer. These players could eventually get bored of winning the French First League, as ridiculous as it sounds. It's not necessarily just a Neymar thing, or, you know, he's not loved by the fans or
and
whatever.
PSG need to sell this winter. 80 million euros is what UEFA told them they need to earn.
Oh, for the financial
for the financial fair play. So if they don't get those 80 million euros, they could face a ban next season.
And well, there you go. They're going to shift Di Maria, shift Drax,
and that will cost them in terms of depth, right? If Mbappe or Neymar go down with an injury, but they had sold someone like Draxler or Di Maria, who's going to replace that kind of player, and then all of a sudden this side becomes very ordinary.
Yeah, and they could completely implode.
There's two cracking differences of opinion on here. Luke Carroll saying Neymar will win the Ballon d'Or if he wins the Champions League.
I can see that.
Okay, but S. Barkey is saying Neymar's only going to win the Ballon d'Or when Messi retires. So he thinks that no one's going to win any Ballon d'Ors until Messi and Ronaldo are gone. Do we think a Champions League win for PSG would mean a Ballon d'Or for Neymar?
I think, given that Ronaldo's won it off the back of 2 Champions Leagues, it puts a very strong case forward. I mean, look, I'm not sure what the criteria for it is, because if you're looking at the calendar year of the best player of the year, Ronaldo's had a shocking start to the season. So he's been good up until May or June when they won the Champions League.
Well, there was that hilarious stat doing the rounds. It's not the case now, but he'd had more children than he'd scored La Liga goals.
Exactly. He won a Champions League and won the Ballon d'Or. So if that's the criteria, that, you know, club trophies, then yeah, I'm sure Neymar could win it if PSG win the Champions League.
But the problem is there is no criteria. It's a vote. It's a popularity contest, and that's really my biggest issue. That's my biggest issue with the Ballon d'Or. I personally ignore the event because I think that it's a vote among journalists, fans, and the different coaches around the world, right? So it's a popularity contest. And it doesn't matter which one of the two is better. It's just basically who has the better marketing department. And I think for that reason, that's really what's going to hurt Neymar too.
I don't know whether it's just, you know, me as a football fan and me maybe not having noticed it. Yeah. But when I was a kid, it makes me sound really old. I don't remember there being such a hype around the Ballon d'Or.
No.
I mean, Michael Owen won it.
Yeah.
I don't remember anyone talking about it.
And England fans just woke up the next day and went to work. No one mentioned it. We had stuff to do.
It's the whole Messi Ronaldo kind of argument. It's elevated the worth of the Ballon d'Or, which, as you say, isn't worth much. It's a journalist's opinion.
I think it deflated the value of it because it used to go to the best player. Now it just goes to the most popular ones. I mean, we all remember after 2014, the World Cup. I personally think it should have gone to Manuel Neuer, because no one in football changed the position as much as he did. He revolutionized it, and he won the World Cup that year. It should go to the best player and the value of the player.
The Champions League does seem to have an impact. So do you think there's players, Paul Pogba, Eden Hazard, Harry Kane, are they looking at the Champions League and thinking maybe that's a ticket to get that golden ball on my mantelpiece?
But no, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think no, they can't do anything. Gigi Buffon was fantastic last year.
He should have won it.
Right, he could have won it. Yeah. But, as I say, it's complete and utter marketing. It's what's going to sell. What is going to sell around the world is Ronaldo and Messi at the top again.
Exactly.
Even though, you know, Ronaldo, as I say, didn't have the greatest year overall. The first 6 months, brilliant. The second 6 months...
For me personally, it should go to the player that has brought the most to his side.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in 2014, that was Manuel Neuer for the German national team. He won them the World Cup. And that's the ultimate prize. Messi didn't do that for Argentina. So why did he win the best player, right? And that when you look at Buffon, he carried that team to the Champions League final. He didn't win it, but it didn't matter. He won everything else,
getting
right?
Back to the Champions League again. We're just going to have a little quick run, I think, through who's playing who. So we've got Juventus against Tottenham. Please, guys, have a look now on the screen. There's a Champions League draw graphic we've done for you guys. So let's have a quick run through. Juventus against Tottenham. Great tie, right? We're happy with that one. It's going to be big. Manchester City arguably handed a slightly easier game there against Basel. They get the second leg in Manchester, obviously. You know, that's going to be a boost for Pep and his boys, even if they didn't need one. Porto hosting Liverpool. Quick snapshot. What do we reckon there, guys? What's the score going to be? Can Klopp's boys win that one?
Yep.
I think they'll turn it around in the second leg at home.
Yeah.
So do you reckon they might lose the first one?
Lose or draw. The
yeah.
second leg's the key for Liverpool.
We got Sevilla against Manchester United. What do we reckon there?
I think there will be an upset in that one. I think Sevilla will go through.
You heard it here first, guys. Manuel's
Sevilla.
back in Sevilla to beat Jose Mourinho's Man United. Then the absolute humdinger of a game. Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain. That is going to be golden. What do we reckon? Who's winning that one? Manuel reckons Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Matt?
I'm going to go Madrid just by Real Madrid. There could be a shock.
Well then, just because I think, screw you guys, I'm back in PSG, I'm back in my boy Neymar. I'm hoping for at least a hat-trick of penalty arguments in the first leg. That's the thing we're all really tuning in for. Shakhtar Donetsk against Roma. We've heard, we've heard some good things about both clubs there. Manuel's explained the qualities of Shakhtar. Roma obviously started very well in the group stages. Chelsea against Barca, another banger. What do we reckon, guys? Who's going through?
Barca.
Barca. Last of all, Bayern Munich, Besiktas.
Poor Besiktas.
Yeah.
I reckon it would be
Could the
bad.
atmosphere rumble them though? They've got Manuel Neuer to come back, obviously Bayern. It's not an easy place to go, Besiktas. They got that in the second leg. Anything could happen.
Yeah, but I think by the second leg it's over.
Yeah, I think. Don't want to be a bore, but I'm sticking with.
Okay, well. Just to ruffle Matt's feathers, I'm going for Juventus in that Tottenham game.
Yeah. I've got to say Spurs.
I reckon Harry Kane's gonna break a nail or stub his toe on the coffee table that morning in his Turin hotel. But yeah, it might struggle there, eh?
I mean, look, I think on one hand, yes, we might struggle, but on the other hand, it's a huge game for Tottenham. Over the years, myself as many other Tottenham fans, you've seen some bad times, and some almost relegated in the 90s. So to see us take on Juventus in the Champions League knockout round is huge for the club. It's fantastic. I can't wait, and I'm sure the players can't wait either.
Could Wembley be an issue? We saw it was a big issue last season in the Champions League, but this year, slightly better. Slightly better. I mean, in the league at least.
Top your group.
Yeah, but I mean, in the Champions League, 3-1 against Dortmund and Madrid, and 3-0 against Apoel. I think.
Why isn't that translating so well to the league?
I don't know. Maybe it's something about European football that really suits Tottenham's style of play. I think in the league we come up against.
Could it be the underdog thing?
Maybe it could be the underdog thing, but it could also be. Maybe a bit of complacency in the league, thinking, I'm thinking about Real Madrid in the Champions League rather than worrying about West Brom at home. And
well, we are saying this actually right off the back of a Spurs thrashing
against
Stoke at the weekend. What did you make of that? That was nice to see all the sort of big guns getting back on the score sheet.
We look back on track, right? But Wednesday night is home to Brighton, which all things point to a Spurs win, but it could be another one.
Except for the fact that all things point to a Spurs win. That's the main reason that Spurs aren't going to win that game, because that's what football's about.
I'm not going to go ahead and be too cocky and say it's a done deal, because I've said it in the past few weeks against Leicester, against West Brom. And, we got 1 point out of 6.
Jenny Holloway, Kane will be amazing. You'll see. She's backing your boys.
I hope she is right.
Jenny, we hope you're right. Thank you very much for commenting. Here's a question for you boys. Can all 5 English teams go through? What do we reckon?
Well, look, I mean, aside from Chelsea, Barcelona and Tottenham, Juventus, I think they should. I think United, Sevilla should. Maybe that's a tough one. They should go through. City should definitely beat Basel, and Liverpool, Porto, yeah. So I think you should have at least 3 out of 5.
Would a final 8 consisting of 5 English teams be the most balmy thing we've ever seen. That would be mental, wouldn't it?
Yes, because we'd assume we'd win the World Cup off of it afterwards.
Well, that only would happen if you actually had English players playing for English teams.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
I don't think it will happen, actually. I think that the Spanish and German teams had a massive off year in the first half of the Champions League. It's, Bayern really took about 3 months into the season to really hit stride. Real Madrid the same thing. Atletico Madrid had a big off year, and I don't see it happening in the spring. So I think that 2 or 3 of the English teams will be eliminated.
Yeah, really.
Possibly Spurs, possibly
Chelsea.
But you've already said that you reckon Sevilla are going to do
Sevilla,
Manchester
so
United.
that's 3 right there.
When's the Europa League draw? That's coming up. That's actually taking place after this draw. We're just dealing with the Champions League draw. That's going to be happening later today as well, though. So if you guys support Europa League teams, you can find out who those teams are.
I have to say that it's quite tasty. Some of the teams. Atletico Madrid are in there. Dortmund have dropped in there. Arsenal.
Well, some of you guys are asking where's Arsenal. Arsenal, they didn't finish high enough in the league to qualify for the Champions League this year, which is a real shame, especially for Bayern Munich, who enjoy playing Arsenal.
Or Barcelona.
So that's a bit of a shame not to see our annual Bayern thrashing of Arsenal. That's always fun. So,
but they could get Dortmund. Maybe Dortmund will do it this time.
Yeah, they'll get their thrashing. Don't worry, Arsenal fans. Come in, all right. You'll get your thrashing. So that's it. So Real Madrid, best team. They're going to beat Bayern easily when they eventually meet. Obviously, they're not playing straight away. They've got PSG. Chelsea are going to go through, they think. We're looking back at the Champions League draw here. Let's have a last little glance at that. We'll have a little run through. Juve against Spurs, brilliant game. Basel against City, easy for Pep. Porto, Liverpool, Matt?
Liverpool just.
Sevilla, Man United. Manuel reckons Sevilla. Real Madrid, Paris. I've gone Paris. The boys have gone Madrid, so I'm going to probably be right, because I usually am. Shakhtar, Roma. Manuel?
I think Roma, unfortunately.
Okay, Chelsea, Barcelona. Let's hope for Barcelona, shall we? Come on, fingers crossed. And Bayern, Besiktas. I'm hoping for some sort of Besiktas miracle there, just for the banter.
That's a good excuse,
I want Pepe to start a ruckus. I want milk to be thrown in that game as well. I'm not satisfied with the amount of milk that's been thrown in football recently. So more of that, please. But that concludes the draw.
That's it.
Thank you very much for you guys tuning in. Your comments have been absolutely brilliant. The last little run through. Messi's on fire, they can win. Man United are useless in the big games. Let's leave it on that, shall we? Thank you very much for joining from me, Matt and Manuel. And cheers, guys. Have a lovely day.